Day two. We are here. We have a good race weekend ahead of us. Day two, Sunday, but we need to talk about Saturday. This is Chaz Draycott, our English commentator. Yes, race two was very exciting, but also a lot to talk about. So we did see a massive collision of lots of trucks. You, as a commentator, have you seen something like this before?
I've seen a lot of incidents in the few years that I've been commentating, but never with machines this big. I think that's the main difference here in this situation. You know, you can see touring car racing and GT racing where you see cars like the TCR cars we have here in the paddock with us. You know, if you get a couple of those involved, then sometimes that just happens and it's a bit more normal in the racing world. But to see 5-ton trucks having this sort of incident with so many of them involved, it's quite a scary prospect. You know, I was really in shock with watching it all, but it was great to see that everybody was okay. And at the end of the day, that's the main thing.
Absolutely, because safety standards are so high. None of anybody wasn't harmed, so that was really the best news yesterday. So, because to that all, of course, the teams had to work during all night, less sleep than maybe normal. And what is the good news also is that all trucks are back on track. The teams did a great effort, less sleep, as I said. And also Norbert Kisch, it is his hometown track. He's got his track already fixed as well. Kind of a miracle, wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, I think out of all of the trucks that we saw damaged yesterday, I was expecting Norby's truck to be the one that maybe didn't make it out even for warm-up ahead of qualifying or anything else. You know, they've got it all sorted. It's an absolute miracle, like you say. Even Antonio Albertetti's truck as well, the T-Sport Benau guys, they were absolutely flat out all night. They haven't slept. You know, I saw Tim Frost on their social media explaining this, and it's just amazing teamwork once again. And, you know, there have been teams that have come together to help each other. It's not just been one team working on their own truck. And this whole one truck family hashtag that we always mention, like you say, it's not just a hashtag, it's real life. It really is real in this paddock. It's brilliant.
It absolutely is. So let's have a look at the pictures. We wanted to see the pictures here at the huge wall, but there are the ETCR information. So you will see the pictures at home, and we're trying to commentate them from here. So please start the little movie from yesterday. What we can say is that it all occurred into turn 1 and to turn 2 and 3. So just as the race has started, Chaz, there was this massive collision. Do you have any explanation? Because I thought that was kind of a domino effect.
Yeah, definitely. That's the right phrase to use, really. There was a number of people that were involved from the start because we had, I believe it was Adam Lachko was behind Steffi Halm, and then Steffi was in turn behind Andre Kurzim on the inside. Steffi backed out a little bit early to make sure she didn't hit the back of Andre, but Adam was a little bit too close behind, and then he pushed her into Andre, and of course being on the inside line, that then pushed everybody else out wide. And then as they all rejoined, there was a situation where they were 5 wide. We had Anthony Janiak on the right-hand side, then Norbert Kisch, Jochen Hahn was a little bit further back, then Antonio Albertetti, and then next to him, coming back on, was Andre Kurzim, and that's where all of them all piled into one, went off to the left-hand side, and then it all erupted from there.
Maybe just a little hint from our director in Neumarkt. Are we already on the onboard? Because we do see you, show you here the onboard perspective from Smart Witness, as you can see, and this is always very interesting. And you could see Norbert Kisch literally flying into the barriers, and also you could see that Theo Cave was coming a bit from the left, so he closed the space over there. He caused the collision on lap 1, on turn 2 and 3, and because of that he's dropped off 5 start position for race 3. After his qualifying right now. Shane Brereton, also under investigation, caused the collision in turn 2. 30 seconds drive-through penalty already given.
Yeah, it was all converted into 30 seconds at the end of the race, and they feel that the contact between Shane and Sasha Lenz after he made contact with Adam Lachko was part of the problem there, because he went straight on after turn 2 across the front of Sasha. It was amazing to see that later in the day actually Sasha got moving. We're being ushered to the side.
Yes. So great thanks to our cameraman. We need to give a little bit space here. So at the Hungaroring, lots of action taking place. And if you see the overall standings and wondering why Janiak hasn't got any points from yesterday, he had a wrong air restrict to use. Disqualification, the size was a bit larger than 63 millimeters, and withdrawal of all points for race 1. But this is just an addition. It had nothing to do with a massive collision, but if you all see the overall standings. So, but race 2 was interesting as well. Less trucks on the track, and we do have Adam Lachko with a winner.
Yeah, it was interesting to see, actually, because sometimes you always wonder in motorsport, if you took certain drivers out of the picture, you know, who would rise to the top. And I mean, we saw an amazing drive from Adam. He pulled off a fantastic opportunistic manoeuvre to get into the lead. And I mean, Sasha Lenz was just an absolute star in the latter stages of the race. He was just flying up towards the front of the field. It was great to watch. But you know, it was a shame not to have some of the big hitters out there on track. I mean, we lost Jochen Hahn as well. He didn't really feature much in the accident, but he was just the one that got squashed in the middle. And all of a sudden, he was out of the race. We didn't see much else from him. But this is motorsport. You know, as all of the guys that you interviewed yesterday said, this is just racing sometimes. These things happen, and it's a bit of a shame, but we move on.
Absolutely, we move on, but not without showing you the highlights of yesterday. So the trucks are underway here, and this is the truck of René Reinhardt. It's Martin Gibson there driving it, and he ended up at the podium yesterday. Very humble moment for him as well, as he was stepping in for René Reinhardt, who could not drive due to some shoulder problems. We do see the trucks here. We do see the fans and the stands back. That's really good to see, and they're cheered up as they saw Norbert Kirsch's truck driving up. So Chaz Drakert and Joachim Eberts, you're on duty right now. Have fun.
Thank you as ever, Christina. Qualifying is just getting underway here, everybody. Good morning. Chaz Drakert here. Great to see you all and great to have you all here with us for the second day of racing in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship from the Hungaroring. We are hopefully at some point soon putting the memory of yesterday behind us, and we will look to see some fantastic racing today. And isn't it an absolutely wonderful sight to see all of these trucks back out on the circuit again? A big congratulations to the teams for getting everything sorted and just reviving these machines and having them back out on the road, especially Norbert Kirsch and I must say Antonio Albacete. Those two trucks in particular were two of the most damaged that we could see, and Norby's team have done an amazing job, and the Jamie Anderson squad as well. Anderson Racing have also got Jamie back out for this session, I believe. We saw them in the paddock yesterday. They obviously got told that they couldn't sort of retake part in the second race due to the structural damage behind the door on the front right of the truck, and in the paddock last night they were using a crane to make sure that they could pull it back into place. It was an incredible operation that we saw, and they have managed to get the job done. And I mean, these teams and these mechanics, everybody involved, they are absolute superstars. So as you heard, Shane Brereton got a penalty for some of the shenanigans in the incident yesterday, and that has basically dropped him down the order, which means that Stefan Fass would have taken the win in the Promoters' Cup. That promoted Martin Gibson, the number 77 truck that we saw there, into second position. But everybody just making their way round now on their sort of out laps, just getting an idea of how the circuit is in this exact moment. And very soon we will get them out on track for qualifying at full pace anyway. And they will be giving everything to make sure that they can get as good a chance as they can to go into Superpole. Don't forget, we have two sort of sections to these qualifying sessions. We have the whole field go out on track, and they try and set their best time. And then after that, the top 10 get put into one individual session where they then set the top 10 positions on the grid for race 3. And that third race of the weekend is going to be Antonio Albacete's 500th race in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's wonderful to see Antonio still going strong and with good pace as well as the championship continues. There's Norbert Kirsch, hometown hero, out of turn 1 down towards turn 2. We may see these guys put in the blistering laps straight off the bat here, and then they will pull into the pits and then just wait for the session to end. A lot of the time they do just get one lap in that's good enough to keep them inside the top 10. And Norby is going to be pushing very hard indeed. Now, let's not forget that they don't really have that much time behind the wheel after the truck has been fiddled with and fixed overnight. So a number of them will feel maybe a little bit reacquainted with the truck right now. It may be behaving slightly differently due to setup changes and whatever else. But, I mean, looking at the body language of Norby's truck, it looks very good indeed. It always looks like a quick machine out on track. The way it leans and the way it moves around through the corners, it looks absolutely phenomenal. Here is something down at turn 1. Whoa, big moment for Anthony Janiak. Locks up the tyres on the way in. Big plume of smoke down towards turn 1, and that is a very scary thing to have happen. As we've discussed a few times, there's not really any weight over the back end of these trucks. 3 tons of the 5 tons that they weigh is actually over the front axle. As there you could see Norbert using all of the road and some of the curbs. Sasha Lenz following him as well. And then Jochen Hahn just behind. Jochen was another driver that had to retire from yesterday's race due to damage. He was caught up in the middle of all of the contact, as Christina and I discussed a little bit earlier. Just under 15 minutes of the session left to go of this 20-minute session that gets us started. And then we will have another 10-minute session to get the top 10 set up for the grid. So, Norbert Kish, final corner, across the line he goes, and he puts the first time on the board. It's a 2:17.0, 1.3 seconds faster than Jochen Hahn. He's 1.6 seconds faster than Sascha Lenz. So clearly no problems with that truck as of right now. Reveish Racing have done a fantastic job to get that sorted. And they've got it sorted in a way that means it's still very, very quick. So a number of the drivers will now have a sort of cool-down lap on the way in. And then potentially a number of them will come and sit in the pit lane to save the tyres, just save everything, sort the temperatures out for the second part of the session, the Super Pole session, which will be coming up in about 14 minutes' time. So Sascha Lenz then drops down in the order to 4th place, with Adam Lachko going second fastest. Antonio Alberthetti has gone 6th. Andrei Kurzim's doing well up there, actually. Andrei was saying yesterday that their pace just really wasn't there, but he was happy with the fact that he managed to hold on and score a result out of it in the afternoon, or in the evening, I should say. And there is Janiak, all the way over to the right-hand side of the start-finish straight. Now, I'm not sure that's at full pace, is it? I think there's a problem there for Anthony Janiak. He was 38 seconds slower on that lap, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. But it seems to me like he's got some sort of a problem and he will not be continuing. But we hope to see him go back out. And we hope to see him get back up to full speed. There is Adam Lachko. Won the second race yesterday. It was a terrific drive by Adam and a really lovely manoeuvre to take the race lead from Andrei Kurzim. Just behind him on track at the moment is number 44, Steffi Halm. And there is 6-time champion Jochen Hahn leading the field round effectively. Now here's a look back further down at Anthony Janiak, and there is definitely something not right there. Now, this could be a cool-down lap, but he hasn't actually put a fast lap on the board yet, so clearly something is not at 100% with that truck. We have to just hope whatever it is gets sorted before the race. The number 66 machine, though, a very, very good-looking truck. The Lion Truck Racing team certainly know how to put a livery together, this day-glow yellow. And it looks to me like that front right wheel is slightly buckled, you know. It's moving around quite a lot. Maybe it's just had a chip taken out of it and it looks a little bit more badly affected than it actually is. Now, Teo Calve, 7th at the moment, is the head of the Promoters' Cup. Jamie Anderson, 2nd out of those lot, in 8th position overall. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, actually, the little letter P next to their position. That means that they are a driver within the Promoters' Cup, the Chrome-rated drivers in our field. We have 2 classes, Titan and Chrome, basically Class A and Class B. Think of it as Pro and Am, maybe. Not as a disrespectful quip there to the drivers, of course. These drivers are all absolute professionals. Across the line then goes Jamie Anderson. And chasing him down there, I believe, was the number 25 of Heinrich Clemens Hecker, as we see Norbert Kish go into the pit lane. And he will greet the team and just make sure that the truck is all cooled down and everything is well looked after. You can see there Tim Frost and some of the guys from T-Sport but now walking around their machine. There's Andrei Kurzim. He'll be happy with 5th place, like I've said. A top effort from Andrei. After yesterday, he will be really chuffed with that because he started the first race yesterday way, way down the order. I believe he started in 11th position. He did, yeah, 11th place for yesterday's race. He did not make it into Super Pole on Friday. Due to the nature of this race weekend, with the other championships on the schedule, we have had to sort of shift things around a little bit, and we had our qualifying session for race 1 on the Friday. There is Stefan Faas really wrestling the Scania through the chicane. It looks fantastic as it makes its way around here. Through the left at turn 8, then turn 9 on the right. And Shane Brereton has been told off by the stewards there. He's had his lap time deleted for overspeeding. Now, these trucks are capable of more than 100 miles an hour, but they are governed to 100 miles an hour, so you are not allowed to exceed 160 kilometers an hour. And if you do, well, you get a telling off, and your relevant lap time, as you saw there, will be deleted. But Stefan Faas really pushing hard into the final couple of corners here. You can see the steam coming off the brakes here. That's not something we've seen as much of this year in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Last season, the steam was a lot more prominent from the brakes, but we don't see too much of it this season so far. Maybe because the ridiculously hot temperatures we've been enduring at both of the circuits. Misano was very, very hot, and here again at the Hungaroring, it is just as hot. Here's another look back at Stefan in the middle of the lap, kicking some sort of debris up there. And look at that, the back end trying to step out as he really throws it in. And again, back end just tries to come around, maybe just snatches a brake on the inside, and it just slightly drags the front end in. There is Heinrich Clemens Hecker. He's currently in 14th position on the left-hand side, although count that as 13th, because by the look of it, we have two Martin Gibsons out there on track. So everybody below Martin and the number 77 truck will be moved up a position at least, or, well, never mind. Martin seems to have had something happen there, although I think Shane Brereton, oh no, it was Shane moving up the order. Shane has just put in a faster lap time, and he puts himself into 10th position, and very importantly into Superpole with a 2:20.2. So he's just behind Steffi Halm, who's in 9th position. Jamie Anderson up in 8th. But Steffi is maybe a little bit of danger there, just in case some of the drivers behind improve on their lap times. But Jochen Hahn still out on the circuit, maybe looking to improve a little bit further. But he's usually one of the drivers to come into the pit lane. Speaking of pit lane, we have Christina down there actually ready to speak to us.
Absolutely ready, as always. Andre Kurzem waiting here, 10 minutes or 8 minutes left in qualifying. You were cheering on the podium yesterday. Let's have a quick chat about that moment, cheering in front of your team after that. Yes, it was really nerve-breaking race too for all of us, of course.
Yes, the second race yesterday was very crazy, and yes, it was a difficult race for us, and yes, we get on the podium. We are very happy about this, and today we have a good performance. Hopefully we have a good start position for the first race, and maybe we can do it again.
What have you got in the tank for this first qualifying in Superpole?
Yes, I don't know. It's for the second time it will be very difficult, but I don't know.
Very optimistic, of course, Andre Kurzem, and we saw the team really cheering up yesterday and maybe today.
Situations when you have these qualifying sessions that sort of progress into other qualifying sessions, it can be a very pressurizing situation for the drivers. A lot of pressure gets put on them to perform and make their way into the next part of it. Stefan Faas is only just behind Martin Gibson on the timing tower on the left there. Martin Gibson 4.253 seconds off the fastest time, and Faas only a few thousandths of a second back. There are some of the fans in the grandstand, another packed grandstand here this weekend. There is a big screen on the front of the start-finish straight so all of the fans can see when they're on camera. It's always good to have that fan interaction, isn't it? It's wonderful to see them back as well. The paddock is so full this weekend. There's so many people here. It even adds to the whole excitement of the whole event. So Stefan Faas here trying for another quick lap to try and improve his position, get inside that top 10. He needs to try and beat Shane Brereton. Shane's fastest lap was a 2 minutes 20.214. Stefan Faas is having to find about 1.1 seconds to get to that point, and well, he's trying to find it on the outside of the circuit, isn't he? who's really, really pushing hard. And someone who wasn't pushing so hard a moment ago was Jochen Hahn, and he's down there in the pit lane with Christina.
Yes, he absolutely is. It has been a short night for everyone, for your team. You were right in the middle of the crash situation yesterday. Was not much to do, actually, to just react. How did you cope with that situation?
You know, and then we make racing, and we make racing 2 days, so everything can happen. So it's a start crash. It's not really a foul from one, so it's a calculation of all things. So in the end, it's a little bit crashed, yes, but in inside it's nothing. For me, it's nothing, and all other parts are plastic or metal parts. So we change, and the truck is nearly new.
Absolutely, routine driver, as you can see, calm as always. So what are you aiming for in this second day? Hopefully it will be a better racing day.
Yeah, you know, I say every time I need no luck, but in the end you need also a little bit luck. So, okay, new day, truck feels fantastic, so we will hopefully fight for the podium, and ask me later again.
I will do that. Thank you very much, Jochen Hahn. Of course we will ask him later on. But as you can see, he's in a good mood right now. That's good to see.
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, if I can get a bit older and get as wise and as calm as Jochen Hahn in my later years, I tell you what, I'd be a very, very happy man, because he's so experienced and he's just so level-headed as Jochen Hahn. You know, he always looks at things with a neutral perspective. He just carries this wisdom with him, you know, and he was very, very much correct. You know, this is racing that these guys are doing, and sometimes you have to take the rough with the smooth, and, you know, as long as he's okay, again, quoting him, the rest of the parts are plastic and metal. You know, they can be replaced. So that is all absolutely fine from where they are, and the team have done an amazing job to get the truck back out there. Now, speaking of back out there, Shane Brereton currently 10th at the moment, 3.1 seconds off the fastest time, but he feels the need to push out there now and try and keep himself inside that top 10, because drivers like this man here, Stefan Faas, are out there trying to improve on their lap times to get inside that top 10 and getting to Superpole, which will be starting rather soon. A quick reminder for you as well that while these are big, beefy racing machines, they are all running on 100% renewable HVO diesel. It is an absolutely wonderful initiative in this championship to make sure that we are as carbon neutral as possible. And you see there the way that the truck just leans into the right-hander at turn 12 for Stefan Faas. Again, his team doing an absolutely outstanding job the other night to get that entire engine change done and the clutch change as well. They had issues with oil leaking out, and they got all of that sorted, and then he went on to win the Promoters Cup in the race yesterday. There's a number of teams that have just done outstanding work overnight due to the incidents as well. We have to give a shout out to Norby's team in particular, because we saw the state of the front of that truck as it climbed up on the barrier. It was a real mess. And another team that did a good job was T-Sport Banau, and their driver Antonio Albacetti is there with Christina.
Absolutely. We needed a lot of caffeine, and of course the drivers too. Antonio, what a day and what a night yesterday. You needed to work really, really hard. Did you catch a little bit of sleep or nothing at all?
No, yeah, I mean, I was lucky that I have a little bit of sleep. I mean, the team worked a lot all night, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to thank the whole team. They did a great job to have the track finished for this morning. We have a little bit of problem this morning also with the turbo, and I can not do many laps, so I just try to do now my best. But, yeah, I mean, I would like to thank the whole team, you know. I hope we have a good day today.
And as he said, there was problems with the turbo this morning. So how is your strategy right now? Like, you need just one fast lap, of course. This is always the Superpole. It's very interesting. When are you going for it?
Yeah, I mean, we need one fast lap, you know. I mean, it's going to be a little bit difficult because what I tell you, I mean, I didn't do many laps. But, yeah, I will try, you know. I will try to do a good lap and see if we can be in the top 5 again or even better. But it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult.
Thank you very much, Antonio Albacetti. Thank you, Tim Frost, for holding the safety net for us. So as you can see, they're really good looking by not catching any sort of sleep. Speaking of not sleeping, Chaz, what about you?
You know very well how much sleep I had last night. We've already discussed this. I had a fantastic night with the organisers and a big bunch of us last night, celebrating some of the crew's birthdays as well at the hotel nearby. We had a fantastic evening, but yeah, safe to say I'm a slightly tired boy this morning, so quite grateful that I get to sit in my very comfy commentary position that we have sorted out here for this weekend. The session has come to an end, though, and Norbert Kisch is on the top spot for now. Adam Lachko second, Jochen Hahn in third, then it's Sascha Lenz and Andre Kurzim in a brilliant fifth position. Not Teo Alberthetti, Antonio Alberthetti and Teo Calve sixth and seventh. Then it's Jamie Anderson, Steffi Hallman, Shane Brereton makes it into the top 10. So the drivers that we will not see in Superpole will be Anthony Janiak, Martin Gibson, Stefan Faas and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, who we see on our screens right now, the number 25, just coming round to, well, complete a lap, actually. I think maybe he was expecting to be able to squeeze one more in, but yeah, he's not going to have much chance. But back to you, Christina.
And did you remember the door from Jamie Anderson yesterday? So it has no painting on it because it's quite a new door and they needed to change that. Let's open it, talk to Jamie Anderson. Hi, you're riding for the Superpole, of course. Great effort from the team. It seems like a brand new truck. Just a bit of paint is missing.
Yeah, definitely. The whole team, including me, we've been up all night. We haven't been able to go sleep. So to come back and get into Superpole is perfect for the team. You know, I could not do it without them. And the guys, we've been up all night trying to get this cabin sorted. It was a lot worse than what it seemed yesterday. So again, without the team, it is so important to be united with your team.
Great effort from everyone. And how much caffeine was needed?
Wow, a lot of coffee. After we finished this morning at 7 a.m, we say, wow, we have to wait for the scrutineers. None of us go sleep, so we have one coffee, and hopefully we get a little siesta during the day.
That sounds good to me. Lots of adrenaline during racing. Good luck then for the Superpole, Jamie Anderson and his team.
Yeah, wonderful to see. And I mean, you can't even imagine the effort that the teams must have put in overnight. I was talking yesterday about the size of the repair jobs that these teams have to do. And when you have to work all night on them as well, especially after a hot day like we've had at the circuit, it was a long day anyway before that first race. I mean, having the first race sort of middle of the day and then waiting hours and hours for the second race, it's not something we often do here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. So I imagine that the teams were kind of grateful to have that extra break so they could make sure everything was sorted on the trucks. But at the same time, waiting around after everything was sorted did feel like it took a very, very long time to come back to us. Either way, the first qualifying session of the two is complete. And we now wait for just a few moments for the track to be cleared and everything to be all good to go. And then we will get all the drivers back out on the circuit. But you can see now some of them just queuing up at the end of the pit lane. And you can see that Norbert Kisch is very, very excited about this one. He wants to get right up at the front of the queue once again. Sascha Lenz there in the middle of the pack, just creeping its way down to the end of the pit lane. And you see Teo Calve, very importantly, joining on to the back. He needs some good points in the Promoters' Cup after a tough day yesterday. He retired from the second race. And when he's thinking about the Promoters' Cup, obviously points mean prizes, and he needs to make sure that he doesn't lose any points to Shane Brereton, his main rival from last year, and of course, seemingly main rival from this year so far. There's a quick look back at some of the shots from the first part of qualifying, and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker floating through the shot absolutely sideways there. Great stuff to watch. And that's the thing with these trucks. They can be very easily drifted sideways. We've seen it a lot before with the showboating that some of these drivers do at the end of a session or at the end of a race. They love to get the rear end out of these trucks and really throw them around. So, out goes Norbert Kish, then it's Adam Lachko, Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz and Andrei Kurzim, Antonio Alberthetti, Teo Calve, and then Jamie Anderson and Steffi Halm, who will make their way out on the circuit. No Shane Brereton yet by the look of it though. Although I believe I've probably just read 10 drivers out and not even realised it. We'll have a look though. Just going to go back down the timing myself and just see who's gone out. No, there are only 8 drivers that have come out actually at the moment. So maybe some of the guys that were putting laps in towards the end of that first session there are just waiting for a moment for a bit more clear track and wait for the temperatures to come back down so they can go straight back out. Shane Brereton has just come out of the pit lane. So we will see him circulating in just a sec. And while the trucks make their way round for this sort of warm-up lap, Christina is back down there with another interview for us.
Oh, sorry, no interview. It was just an information for you because we are standing here. Shane Brereton was here in this team. They were adjusting a bit of air pressure on the tires. This is small information for you exclusively and for our audience, of course, Chaz.
Thank you very much, Christina. I get a bit exuberant and excited about the fact we might have an interview lined up, so apologies, everybody. But yeah, fantastic to get these little insights. And, you know, air pressure is such a massive thing in these trucks because the tyres are so thick on them that the tyres really compress through the corners and they have to take a lot of load as well. You know, these aren't the sort of low-profile tyres that you'd see on a normal sports car or a race car. They're incredibly chunky tyres that Goodyear provide, and they're fantastic, fantastic bits of rubber, it must be said. They also have a wonderful initiative this season as well, where they retread the racing tyres. So a lot of the tyres that get used, obviously the ones that are in good enough condition after the racing, they get retreaded by Goodyear. They cut new treads into them, and then they go to get used on road trucks all around the world. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's part of the sustainability of the championship and the way that it's moving forward with the technologies and the methods to keep this whole environment and keep this entire motorsport industry as sustainable as possible. And it's a wonderful thing to see because it then affects the industry itself as well, the trucking industry. So it's like a sort of spearhead to test out these technologies and these incredible bits of equipment to then make sure that everything that you get on the road as a trucker or even as a logistics company, you know, it's all refined and it's been tested on the racetrack. And what a brilliant environment to test it in as well, actually. The racetrack, obviously, one of the most sort of thorough and, well, impactful places to test these machines. Speaking of testing the machines, it's time to test the drivers as well, as Norbert Kish makes his way across the start-finish line down towards turn 1 and gets his first flying lap of Superpole underway. He has Adam Lachko just behind him in second position. Adam will be following on, maybe just to try and assess some of the lines that Norby uses in certain corners. I mean, these machines take up a lot of real estate on the track. So any little bit of movement they can do here and there to maybe just be a few inches over each side and maybe clipping a curb in a different way or turning in a bit later. If you can get that insight from the truck in front of you, then it can potentially give you a couple of extra tenths of a second in your own lap. Adam Lachko there just kissing that bollard ever so slightly. The penalty markers, of course, all around the racetrack to enforce track limits in a more physical way, so the drivers know exactly where the limits are. Norbert making his way round turn 5 and up over the hill into the chicane, which is turns 6 and 7. Huge curbs and concrete areas there for them to use, and as you see there, they are all over it. One of the best things is the fact that those curbs have what's known as a sausage curb on the inside to deter drivers from running over it and cutting too much of that chicane. If you were in a Formula car or even a GT car or a touring car or any other racing machine for that matter, then you would go nowhere near that curb and you would not take your chances. In these trucks, well, they don't care. The trucks can absorb it absolutely beautifully, and you can really throw them through a chicane like that. Hard onto the brakes then into turn 12 comes Norbert Kish. throws the truck in. Now that corner doesn't look that tight from any of our camera angles, but it's just over 90 degrees, and you really have to get any racing machine slowed down quite a lot into there. It's a heavy braking zone in a GT3 car, let alone in a 5.5 ton truck like this. But of course, these trucks with over 1,200 horsepower, able to really punch out of the corners and use the incredible numbers, over 5,000 newton meters of torque, to their advantage. Across the line then goes Norbert Kish. Let's see what time he puts on the board. It's a 2:17.350, 0.8 of a second quicker than Adam Lachko. A 2:19.2 comes in from Jochen Hahn. That puts him in third position for now. Times continue to come in. Sasha Lenz goes third with a 2:18.992. Andre Kurzim has done a 2:19.9. That's 2.5 seconds off Norbert Kish. Teo Calve, 2:19.6. Jamie Anderson, 2:20.3. He goes down into 7th position. Steffi Halm crosses the line, 2:20.0. Shane Brereton in the 2:21s there. So clearly not an ideal lap for Shane Brereton. 4.5 seconds off the pole time at the moment, but 2:17.350 is a very impressive lap by Norbert Kish. And everybody will potentially just take one cool down lap now to get everything back to good operating temperature. Just guide the truck around and then get back on with the job at hand. It's not very often that we'll see a truck do 2 fast laps in a row, unless it's maybe at the end of qualifying 1, where they're trying to get into the Super Pole session. Some of the drivers a little bit further down the order continue to just pile lap after lap on the board. There's Teo Calve just making his way up the hill at turn 5. He was a little bit late coming out of the pit lane, but he is just getting things back exactly how they need to be. And again, he was another driver yesterday that had a very, very scary moment in all of that accident, turning round across the front of his teammate Adam Lachko and the rest of the field. Antonio Alberthetti there running what looks like a little bit wide out of turn 2, even running very wide around the outside of the circuit. Not sure if he's just having a sort of reconnaissance lap, as I call them. But he comes now up towards turn 4. This fast left kink, where he had quite a bit of contact last season with Jochen Hahn. Now this is into turn 2, and a big lock-up on that front left wheel. And you can see he comes on and off the brakes to try and catch it. And yeah, very, very wide out there. It looked a little bit less dramatic than that from the other camera angle, but clearly way, way out wide. But Antonio, so much experience. He's very well versed in all of this, isn't he? We have more trucks now coming down the start-finish straight to start either another flying lap or to come into the pits. I'm keeping my eye on a small gap in the garages just to see if anybody does come into the pit lane. But I think everybody is continuing on just to try and get one more lap on the board. Now, I'm not sure. I think Alberthetti will be fine to get round in time, but with the pace that he's doing at the moment, you'd expect him to get his foot down here. Yeah, he's still got over 50 seconds left to go, so he's going to cross the line with plenty of time and try to improve his position. Currently down in 10th place, no fast time on the board. So let's see what he's got. Antonio Alberthetti in his 500th race today. The first race of the day will be his 500th. This is a man with 274 podiums, over 100 race victories in the championship. He's only 7 race victories behind this man, Jochen Hahn, who is, of course, a 6-time champion, driving the beautiful Iveco S-Way. 620 race starts so far for Jochen Hahn in his career. And Sasha Lenz just following him there. celebrated his 200th race start at the beginning of yesterday. So some big milestones this weekend for a number of the drivers. Adam Lachko making his way around the latter stages of the lap in the beautiful Freightliner. I love that camera in the curb. It's a very dramatic angle, isn't it? Really gives you an idea of the towering scale of these machines. The clock has hit 0 though. So the drivers now will complete the laps that they're on, and that will be that. And then we will get an idea on how the grid will line up ahead of the third race of the weekend. Here is Adam Lachko then round the final corner. And there is the checkered flag being waved. He crosses the line, and it does not look like an improvement to me from Lachko. No, his fastest time was a 2:18.1. He just did a 2:18.3. 2:19.3 from Sasha Lentz. He was 0.4 of a second off his fastest time. An improvement for Teo Calve, but let's not forget Teo will get a grid penalty. So he will drop down the order, unfortunately. But still qualifying 5th overall for Teo Calve. That's a fantastic effort. There is Norbert Kish in the pit lane, so I was right. There was at least one of them coming in. And Norby, by the look of it, looking like he has snatched pole position. I say snatched. Well, he's just dominated once again, hasn't he? A 2:17.350 is a very fast time. He's the only driver into the 2:17s, and he's the only one in there by quite a long shot. Antonio Alberthetti crosses the line. He goes 6th fastest. That will put him 5th overall. And look at that. That will mean a hell of a lot to Norbert Kish. We saw him filled with adrenaline and anger yesterday, which was completely understandable, but look at the appreciation he has for the Revesh Racing team. And I believe their team manager is, I think his name was Shabba, or Shabba, as we'd say in the UK, but you can see him there with the beard on the far end of the wonderful lineup that Revesh Racing have. But he was very emotional yesterday with the damage to the truck, and obviously very frustrated at the amount of work that the team would have to put in, but they run a really well-oiled machine at Revesh Racing, and it's wonderful to see that the truck is back out there and doing well at the hands of the very talented Norbert Kish. Now, it's hot in my commentary booth right now, and I dare imagine how hot it is wearing a helmet, a hands device, and a full race suit after jumping out of the cab of a racing truck as well. It must be absolutely boiling for Norbert Kish, but in the heat of the moment, pardon the pun, I think that will be very, very irrelevant to him right now. He'll just be happy to have taken pole position on home turf once more. That will be his 39th pole of his career, and it is his 4th pole position from 4 this season. Only Norbert Kish has qualified on pole in the 2022 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Pretty incredible, to be honest. And another incredible effort as well, it has to be said, is another shout out to our Smart Witness guys, the Smart Witness judicial review cameras, a lot of them having to be replaced and reworked after a lot of the damage caused to them with the humongous accident that they had yesterday, and it was all realigned and all sorted out. And the guys, of course, providing us with wonderful pictures as ever, and giving the stewards and all of the officials an extra view of the angle from every single truck that we have out here, I should say. But Norbert Kish, truck number 1, position number 1 on the grid for today's race. Or the first of today's races, I should say. Let's not forget, 4 races in a weekend, 2 races each day. There is Jochen Hahn coming through the picture as well, running over the humongous curbs that they have down there at turn 11. And our beautiful Iveco S-Way pace truck will lead everybody in. And they will go back down to the paddock. And understandably, for Norbert Kish and the team, they will probably celebrate quite hard right now with the fact that that truck is not only out there on track, but putting in the fastest time of the session. Here's a quick look back then, telling everybody where to go as everybody makes their way out. Anthony Janiak was having a bit of a moment early on, but still a very exciting session once again. Nice and tame in some ways, though, just the drivers getting readjusted to the repaired versions of their trucks. Fans absolutely loving it here, though, at the Hungaroring. There is a humongous number of them here this morning. It was actually even difficult for us officials to get into the circuit. There were so many people all excited to be here for this Sunday of racing. And we hand down back to Christina, who is down there on Ground Central, as we're going to call it.
Absolutely, and this is Ground Central, Norbert Kisch. The fans are expecting the real Norbert. This is just, as you can see, a figure. I see the team Reves coming down. Here you can see sim racing. Norbert Kisch is also a good sim racer. There's Chaba coming up, and we'll have a quick look at the standings, and we will be waiting here for an interview.
A simulator brought to these sorts of things. I mean, I come from a sim racing background, and that's how I started my commentary career, so it's always nice to see a simulator knocking about somewhere in the paddock. Norbert Kisch, well, he's responsible for said simulator, and he is responsible for that fantastic lap time. 2 minutes 17.350 puts him fastest ahead of Adam Lachko, and Sascha Lenz will start alongside Jochen Hahn on an all-German second row. Theo Calve, well, he will not start from 5th position, unfortunately. But Antonio Albacete, well, he qualified 6th in that session. André Kurzim and Steffi Halm, an all-German row 4. And then the British drivers, Jamie Anderson and Shane Brereton in the Promoters' Cup, have qualified 9th and 10th. Shane probably not too happy with that lap time, though, quite a way off the top spot. Anthony Janiek will line up 11th ahead of Martin Gibson. Then we will have Stefan Faas, and at the back of the grid, we will have Heinrich Clemens Hecker. And I believe in just a moment we will get a quick word, hopefully, with Norby, as Christina is down there in the paddock right now. It's very, very bright down there, isn't it, actually?
It is, and it's Norbert Kisch in his truck driving by here, and you will see how the huge truck's going to park. As always, interesting look at the tires, the front tires doing all the job, the back tires stabilizing it. So we will have an exclusive view on Norbert Kisch coming out of his trucks, all cell phones up here, getting the right image. But here in our live stream of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, you are always right. So let's come on, Mike, and we try to catch him right away. Team will be open the door. Hello. So as you can see, Norbert Kisch has quite a living room built up here. Great set for everyone, kind of a VIP lounge, some exclusive guests, but because it's his hometown racing, of course. So let's be looking out for Norbert Kisch, and we try to catch him right away. Big applause then from the crowd here. So, Norby, pole setter interview directly after coming back. This is the crowd waiting for you. Your team did a massive job. I think sleep was not involved, but many, many, many helping hands. Yeah. How great is this achievement from your team right now, getting your truck back on track?
Yeah, like I said yesterday, if there is any team in the paddock who can fix this, it's ours. And yeah, they did it. And yeah, a lot of people was coming to help, you know, from home, from the Reves workshop and from the Ketzheim workshop. And they bring the new parts, you know, the roof and, you know, parts for the cabin. And some things that we haven't had here with us, you know, because when can you expect something like this to happen? And yeah, they did an enormous job because everything was broken, you know, the rear suspension with the dampers, with the anti-roll bar, with the front suspension, with the springs broken and the cabin damaged and the cooler damaged on the front. And you know, it's like half of the track was damaged after yesterday's race. And yeah, I mean, the team is great, the guys are great. They didn't sleep 1 minute over the night, and we will still have to go through the day, you know, with the races and everything. So yeah, it's a huge respect for them, and a big thank you to the team because, you know, it was a disaster yesterday.
Absolutely, it was good effort from the team. You heard the whistle. Of course, the truck is cooling down. Oh, that's really nice. Look at it. From whom is that?
It's it's a team effort. It's a little bit of a bandage. We can fix everything.
Yeah, absolutely can. So Norbert Kius, thank you very much. That was qualifying and Super Pole here at the Hungaroring. You see this truck, Team Reves did a good job. The MAN is back on track and of course everyone else. So nobody is missing and due to high safety standards, I always can repeat that. That's very important. We do, as Jochen Hahn was talking about us, it's about plastics and metal and some little teddy bear stripes then. So, and as an honor for the whole team working here at the Hungaroring today. You might have noticed I'm wearing orange. This is the color of the Hungaroring, and we are so happy that we will see racing today. Race 3 and race 4 coming up. Please tune in. And bye.